Transcription has started recording. All right, so good afternoon. Today is October 8th. It's a Thursday. This is MS Office Hours. I'm David Perlman, and with us is
Heather Cox.
Yes, and today we have the pleasure of Andres Avendano, who's one of our crack modern voice TSPs, and he's going to take it over for the next half hour. So I would ask Andres, if you can, perhaps maybe put on a little video. I know that you're probably having a great hair day, but it'll just help us keep it a little bit more interactive and keep it for posterity. If you don't want to, that's okay too while you're sharing out your screen. But I do try to ask that because I miss seeing you.
Yeah. No worries. So my name is Andres Avendano. I'm the U.S. Education Teams Technical Specialist. And today I'm going to be presenting around Microsoft Teams calling. Okay. So just to kind of level set, I'm going to be presenting high level this week, right? Kind of just understanding what Teams calling is, what are some of the feature sets, do a quick demo of those feature sets, and then next week I am going to be talking through the back end, right? Kind of get under the hood of setting up Microsoft Teams calling, setting up call queues, auto attendance, and kind of going through that. So the objectives for this presentation is that we're going to look at the modern calling landscape, right? Again, it's going to be a little bit marketing in the beginning, right? Just because I want to level set with everybody. I understand some people are already midway through the pilot. Some people are considering it. So again, very important to kind of level set. And we're going to talk through Teams calling, right? So doing more with that. What does that look like? So that's just going into the feature sets. And then we're going to talk at the very end around the platform, right? Where it's available, the Teams clients on the desktop, mobile, and web. And I'm going to finish off with the demo and Q&A. Okay. So modern calling landscape. What does that mean, right? So currently, especially right now, with these times with COVID, staying connected in real time is more important than ever, right? And that doesn't mean necessarily just talking on the phone or sending an instant messaging. It's tying everything together, right? Tying your file sharing, co-authoring, tying your online meetings, tying your telephony, your task management, your project management, even tying in customer service, right, with contact centers. And so because of that, we've kind of built this platform with Teams, and Teams is able to bring it all together, right? And we've kind of built that by design, right? And so I'm going to be focusing very specifically on calling for today. But one theme that I want you guys to keep in mind for the rest of the presentation is that, it's calling and collaboration all put together, okay? So calling made simple, right? What does that mean? It means, simplify communications with an all-in-one solution. I've kind of talked through that a little bit, right? With PBX, file sharing, customer service, right? Call from anywhere on any device. And I'm going to talk through that at the very end with devices and the platforms, right? Deliver rich calling features. I'm going to go through that next. And then, of course, on the next session, I'm going to talk through the streamlined setup and management, right? We make it very easy to maintain, to set up and to stand up, and to be able to roll into production in a matter of hours rather than weeks, right? Okay, so simplify communication, right? You can work smarter by bringing together calling, chat, meetings, all into one platform, right? Which is your Microsoft Teams application. You're able to start a call no matter from whether you're chatting with a person, from the contact card, right? We're integrating this into the rest of our Microsoft 365 platform, right? We're integrating this into Outlook. We're integrating this into, SharePoint, Yammer. We're integrating this all together, right? And this is all tied to Teams. And of course, we're tying in the collaboration piece with the Office apps within the calls and meetings as well. Okay. Again, very high level, right? Staying connected with a single phone number across your computer, mobile devices. What that means is that you're essentially think about it like you have your desk phone. It's a work number, but it's attached to that desk phone from a legacy standpoint, right? From a modern calling standpoint, now you actually have the ability to take that phone number and take that number with you regardless of where you are. And that goes into your mobile device. So your mobile device is now two phone numbers rather than just having one. So that phone number that is your personal phone number, you don't have to disclose that anymore in order for people to reach out to you outside of your desk. So you're not tied to your desk anymore. You're tied to yourself, right? Your persona. So wherever you are, you can, and again, this is a double-edged sword. I've lived through it, right? Wherever you are, you're reachable. But that makes work very flexible and also very easy to kind of work around and still be able to get your work done no matter where you are. So whenever they call your phone number that's associated to Teams, since that Teams client is available on any platform and on any device, they'll immediately that call will immediately get routed to any Teams client that's associated with your user account, and you'll be able to receive that call. Okay. Once you're in a phone call, you can turn that call into a group meeting, so you're not tied again to, oh, I have to call, hang up the call and let's set up a Teams call and I'm going to send you a meeting, right? It's none of that. Since you're using the Teams client, we built those tools right into the application. So now what you can do is you can augment the meeting or the calling experience into a meeting experience. So now you can add other people into the call, and you can turn that from a group call to a group meeting, right? Without having to ever drop the call at any moment or having to do any redialing. Okay, again, we're going to talk about devices a little bit. So choose from personal devices to shared devices built for Teams, right? Again, meant to address multiple different scenarios, whether that's on a personal level to a shared space, right? So again, you're not necessarily just targeting individuals. You can also target conference rooms, collaboration hubs, space hubs, right? Teams is able to address all of them. All right. So with rich calling features, I'm just going to get right into it, right? So these are the basic calling features. So place, receive calls, hold calls, right? Initiate call by number or name, right? Again, when you're calling another Teams user, it's going to actually try to establish a peer-to-peer calling by default. If it's not able to establish a peer-to-peer call, then it will try to establish a PSTN call. So again, if you're thinking about like cost savings, right, with minutes and calling, if the majority of your calls are done internally, you can prioritize this and basically enable the client to be available for users no matter where they are, so that they're not receiving calls on a PSTN. Instead, they're receiving calls through the client. Call answering, call hold, the IDs, right? Direct inward dialing phone numbers, right? Those are required. Device switching, change active devices. So again, you might have noticed this already for people that are piloting Teams. You started a call in your mobile device, you go to your desk, and then it says you're on a call or you're on a meeting on another device. Would you like to join this device? And it gives you the option to either join or transfer the call, right? So you can have multiple devices in a single meeting, or you can just transfer the meeting seamlessly without having to fumble, join the meeting, mute, and then drop the other meeting, right? So it's all done automatically for you. You can do distinctive ringing, right? Based on the type of call, you can actually assign preset call ringtones. Federated calling, so again, call other organizations that are federated into your organization. So if you allow guest access and you've already allowed those guests into your tenant, you can automatically dial them. And then call history. So all of that with call detail recording using open APIs, we do have that. So you can actually use them to be able to create some rich reporting on Power BI, as well as we have the call quality dashboard. Okay, additional telephony features. So transfer calls, right? We have the blind, the consultative transfer, and then we do have mobile transfers as well. We do have caller ID. For right now, the caller ID, it will show up with the phone number. We are working on doing different types of caller ID options, but for the time being, you only have 3 options, which is show your personal number, show a service number, or be anonymous. Call history, again, you will have that available to you, as well as be able to apply some data governance functionalities with call history. Okay, and then we'll go over that in the next meeting. So with Teams,
sorry, there was a question. Do we have the ability to record calls?
Yes, you have the ability to record calls. From a tenant level, you cannot assign policies to individual users to automatically record all calls. But from an individual basis, when you create a meeting and you would like that meeting to automatically be recorded the moment the meeting is started, you can set policies for yourself to do so. There is more to come on that. We also do have the advanced communication licensing that allows you to tie in to third-party solutions, like if you have contact center needs where you need to record all calls for a certain type of groups, you can do policies to allow for that to happen using a third-party software. So
Great.
we do have. Okay, so I will show some of these slides. They have demos built into them because I will share these slides with you later. So if you want to leverage them, you can do so. I will show this in the demo later on. So the only one I don't have set up right now is extension dialing. But everything else I will showcase. So, but you do have the ability to do extension dialing within Teams. You can do 4, 5-digit, 7-digit extension dialing, and you can create different policies based on the different locations, right? So you can do internal dialing for like a branch office, right? So or for a campus, right? If you have a campus building, you can do extension dialing based on the campus building. If you want to do cross campus building, you might have to get a little bit bigger, right? Instead of 4-digit dialing, you might have to do 5 or even 7, right? Depending on the area code and the other 3 numbers that are associated with that. All right, you can do Teams group call. I'll show up how to set that up. Call parking as well, right? Call park and retrieve. Somebody brought that up earlier in one of the questions. Share line appearance, right? I'm going to show through that as far as like delegations, right? Being able to manage your delegations, being able to put yourself on group calls, and how that would show up. Right? I'm answering the call on behalf of somebody else, making a call on behalf of somebody else. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of skip through these just because I want to get to the demo towards the end. All right, so with the Microsoft Teams client, one thing I want to highlight is the fact that the client is very, very different than what, if any of you are coming from Skype for Business or Link Server, right? The client is something that we have prioritized to make sure that end user experience is the same regardless of what platform, what device, right, or method of accessing, right, the application. Whether you're on a desktop, on a mobile, or on the web, you're going to have the same experience across the board. And we've done some framework changes in order to make that happen. So, fun fact, Skype for Business application was built on C# coding. Teams web app or Teams client is actually built on HTML5, so it's actually a web-based application. And the reason we did that is one, so we don't have disparity or large disparities between feature sets between the different platforms, right? So it used to be a big deal that Mac never had the same features as Windows, right? They were always behind. Or iOS was never up to par as far as Android. That's not the case anymore, right? With Teams, we're releasing features on all the platforms almost simultaneously, right? Again, we have different product teams based on the different platforms. So the time frame might be off by a week or two, but it's not what it used to be, where it would be like 2-3 years before you would get maybe some feature parity, right? And then they would fall behind again immediately right after that. So things have changed, right? And with that, we provide, again, clients on the web client, desktop clients, and the mobile clients, and we kind of dig into this a little bit further. So with the desktop, we actually do support Windows 7 and above, right? So any Windows 7 and above are able to download the Microsoft Teams client, the Mac OS X, right, 10.10, and we now support Linux. And Linux does have all the core capabilities of Teams client that Windows and Mac OS do. Mobile devices, right? iPad and iPhone and Android are available, right? Again, feature parity, pretty close. And then browsers, we do support browsers on all these different browsers. So all the major Edge, Chrome, Firefox, right? Safari. Any questions? I can't see the questions. So Dave, if you want to help me with
We have a few questions here if you want, probably more than we're going to be able to get into, but why don't we stop? Hey, so we'll take a few of these. And does MS Voice solution tie in with ATAs?
Analog gateways, yes.
Awesome. Let's see here. We're going to go. How can people set up whitelist for callers. Execs don't want everyone calling them, just certain people. And this came in from, I guess, Jason Gutierrez, so we're not going to answer that one. We'll go on to the next one. Kidding, Jason. We can assign policies to specific users. Do we have a way to whitelist that in terms of who we're willing to accept phone calls from?
At the time being, no.
Hi.
Yeah.
Is that on any user voice that you've seen? I'm sure it's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it's in the user voice somewhere. And if that's a feature that you really want, I always say go to user voice, vote on it. Anybody who you know else is interested, go in there and vote on it. That's how we know priority to be able to develop these features.
If someone is a delegate in Outlook, can they transfer to Teams? That's a yes.
Yeah. No, you have to set them as a delegate in Teams as well, not just a delegate in Outlook.
Correct, on both sides.
Yeah.
Yes, but we can accomplish that if Teams is set to busy. Let's see here. Okay, that's answering one. Linux clients runs great. I'm kind of surprised. Okay, I guess that's a statement. Can we hide main extensions from staff? Yes, you can. If that's a policy that you want to enable in terms of your caller ID, so I'll put that in the chat. What does MS Voice do about spam calls if the SIP is hosted? Idea on that one?
So I guess dig into that a little bit. SIP is hosted, meaning direct routing or calling plan?
Calling plan, I'm thinking.
I mean, we do provide some spam calling features, right? Functionalities. So for that, we do provide some. I know there's more to come on that. I know that's been a big ask because that's been an issue. So
okay.
You're not, unfortunately, right now at the time being, you're not prevented from getting any spam calls.
Okay, so yeah, that's bringing their own calling plan. All right, I am sure we're going to get more questions, but we're going to return to your presentation
Awesome.
because I know that you're just itching.
It's actually, now we get to the fun part, right? All right, let me go ahead and share a separate screen. So, all right. Let me know when you can see this.
We can see it.
You're good. Yeah, you're
Okay,
good.
awesome. All right, so again, I have 3 different personas, right? And I've gone ahead and I will go through how to set everything up, but some of the features that I wanted to showcase was, again, calling functionalities, call transfers, et cetera, okay? So first things first is when you try to call somebody, right, is you actually try to call somebody. If I wanted to call from the admin center, right? So as an administrator, I wanted to call Alex. It gives me the option right here from a delegate's perspective. In order to set up your delegates, you actually go to your settings and then you manage delegates. From here, you're able to say, who do you support, right? So who are you a delegate of? And then who are your delegates? Who can support you, right? Who is going to be able to send and receive calls? And so once you set that up, right, you'll actually be able to make that call. Again, you'll make that call knowing that the phone number that you're going to try to reach out is going to be through peer-to-peer, right? So even if I get my dial pad, and apologize here, I'm trying to get the phone number. 2130, I think this is. So I'm just going to call. So first things first is I'm going to make that call. And when I make that call, it's automatically going to receive, right? Oops. Apologize. But essentially, it's just going to try to make that call right here. Now, once I'm inside of the calls, I can actually go up from here and have multiple options to where I can actually do consultative transfer, blind transfer, and, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of showcase both. So if I wanted to do consultative, I can just search for the person that I'm trying to get a hold of. And I'm just going to pick them, say, I need to transfer this call, right? And then from this, they're going to get a message. So I'll say, okay, send it, right? And once I get that, I have 2 options from here. I can dial directly to the phone, to the work number, or if I expand on this, I'm actually able to send it directly to voicemail. So if they're not necessarily at the office, but I still need to transfer it to them, I can just send it directly to the voicemail. But I'm just going to go ahead and say work, right? Because that's the only phone number associated. But if in Active Directory or Azure Active Directory, there's like a cell phone attached to it, you can actually transfer it to that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch to that. Oh. I'm just going to switch here. And again. So all I'm doing is just transferring the call. And if I need to, I'm already, if I need to, I can go ahead and do that. Now, one thing that we do have the ability to do as well from here is that we can do a blind transfer. So blind transfer, all that means is that I'm not going to be messaging the person beforehand. I'm just going to be sending the call directly back to the person, right? So if I do that, I can go ahead and transfer. Next thing I wanted to showcase is that, oh, oops, I'm going to get off hold there, is I can do the call park, right? And so what's been a call has been parked. It's code 10, right? And that call is now on hold. So if you're familiar with like a legacy phone, like a desk phone, that's if you put a call on hold and then you tell somebody or somebody needs to get a hold of that person, hey, there's X and X person on line 10, right? Or line 12, and that's exactly what's going to be. So something that we can do now is that we can go back to calls, right? Retrieve. This person doesn't have call parking. All right, so essentially what I'm going to do is I can retrieve that phone call, right? And I can just press the code, which is right there, call 10, right? And I can pick up the call again. And so again, you can add multiple people to this group in order for this. I apologize. You can add multiple people into this group in order to get this done, right? So in order to set that up, you can do this through, again, manage delegates or under calls. You can set up your calls, right, under call group. And this is where you can start to add people into this group that you want to do simultaneous rings. So if you wanted to do like Alex, right? Or if you wanted to do Nestor, right? So you can start to add multiple people into the group, and then you can see which order that you want them to ring, right? And another thing that I was showcasing for the question that somebody asked earlier, it's like how long do you have to wait, or can you set the time before they call starts ringing your delegates? This is what you would do, right? Also ring call group, ring this many seconds before redirecting, right? This is where you would set the timer. And so you can do the same thing for my delegates or the call group. All right. Last thing I want to showcase here is once you're set up auto attendance and call queues, which I will go over next time, is that you will have the ability to opt yourself out of call queues, right? So think about it from a contact center perspective, right? You're part of the support group, multiple support groups, and you're part of a meeting or a training that you want to take. You can opt yourself out of those calls so you will not receive those calls. Okay. Alrighty. So that is it. I try to keep it short and within the time frame so I can leave 5 minutes or 4 minutes for Q&A.
Awesome. I think Heather has a couple of questions in there. I'm not sure if you can see the chat, Heather, if you want to take them.
Yeah, hang on one second. Get right back over there. Let me scroll on down. Where did we leave off?
I think we're down to Mark Tomasky about Graph API.
Hang on.
Any plans?
You may have to read that one while there we go. Any plans to make activity reports?
Mark, any plans to make the activity reports available for the Teams portal? Available via Graph. Go ahead, Heather.
Yes, the Graph API reports do not have the same data, audio seconds, video seconds, screen time. If so, ETA.
I already got my background image and everything too. Look. I'm not sure if you caught that.
Let's see. Any plans to make the activity reports from Teams portal available via Graph? We do have some of that through call dashboard reporting, CDR, or call detail reporting. It's not necessarily Graph, but it's an open API that you can go and access the data from. That's what we use to build our call quality dashboard. Again, I'll get into that in the next session when I start getting into some of the management. So next session, I will dive deeper into the call quality dashboard.
All right. So next question, and we have only about 4 minutes left, so we can bring some of these into the next session, thankfully. Can you have call recording for a call center environment in Teams, not necessarily having call center features?
Yes, through a third party currently. There will be more to come in the future for native Teams call recording from a call center capabilities.
Okay, moving down to Mac's question. In my testing, forward my calls to call group doesn't also have the option for going to voicemail if unanswered. It does have this option for delegates. Is this expected?
In testing forward my calls. Yes, it is expected because the call group is meant to be something that is available, right, for pickup. So if you're not available, somebody should be there to pick up the call. That's the whole point of doing call groups versus delegates. Delegates may not necessarily be available outside of your working hours as well. Think about delegates as like an executive. They have an assistant. They're able to receive your calls, but let's say it's outside of business hours, the assistant may not necessarily be able to receive phone calls, so you still get voicemails. Call groups is more designed for like support, right? Let's say you have a basic contact center, right, that Teams is able to provide with auto attendance and call queue. You have a call group, let's say the maybe like a support desk, right? Just change my password. You have a call group that's meant to be available 24/7. That call group is meant to be able to, somebody in that group is meant to be able to answer that call at any times. So again, if it's not able to pick up, it's going to hang up. So again, that's why there's that. And we kind of don't necessarily recommend using call groups for that type of scenario as well. That's where we do like auto attendance and call queues where you can reroute that to a group voicemail and then deliver that to like a set of user groups.
Okay, and we'll go with this one as our last question for today. Will there be a demo of the admin interface, or was this a demo of that demo? So that
there will be, yeah, there will be a demo of the admin interface next time. Again, that's going to be more focused on management and setting up. So there's going to be a lot more focus on that.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we are 2 minutes short of 5 o'clock, which seems like a really good time to wrap this up because we will have round 2 next week. Definitely looking forward to that. So thank you so much for everyone in attendance here.